A second. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, live on all links, Instagram, Periscope, Facebook, YouTube, and of course on the podcast here, doing the podcast live. So welcome to Sports Scope, everybody. I'm your host, Robert Butler. Going to talk about the games this weekend. A lot of good games coming on this weekend in the NBA. Trade rumors for Julio Jones. A lot of hypotheticals out there. Same thing, different day with Aaron Rodgers. Read one report, but it couldn't confirm it. But it makes sense. Didn't put that in the title. Got Kwame Brown, interesting back and forth with him. And Matt Barnes, Steven Jackson, and Gilbert Arenas. That is an interesting 5-day deal there. Steph Curry mania. I mean, this guy is the most overrated player I've ever seen in my life, and I like the guy. It's just the overratedness of everybody else. I'm like, are we watching the same games? So I'll get into that. But first, I talked about on Tuesday's program, everybody, about had a rant about the NBA ratings taking a big hit last year. All the fallout, all the social justice stuff. Also did talked about the bubble, the shortened season, all that stuff. And the ratings went 13% down from that during the regular season, which just recently ended, right? So now I made my suggestions. Stop with the social justice stuff. Stop with the load management. And before that, I even mentioned that the ratings will be up when you're not competing with the NFL. When you're not competing, when you're in that summer space all by yourself. Well, guess what? Ratings came out for a pretty good game. I didn't see all of it, but I saw enough of it, that Laker Golden State game. And, I have to say it went pretty well. But a lot of that was from the reasons why. So Mark Stein here, I think he writes for the New York Times. Been covering the New York Knicks and the NBA for a very long time. He says, Lakers-Warriors playing game last night drew an average of 5.6 million in ratings, the most watched NBA TV since 2019 Western Conference Finals. Are you kidding me? And then he says, I should have added Steph Curry nodding on the bench, but still struggles to do that after 12 years. I don't know what he meant by that, but I'll tell you this. Again, we're a month out of the NFL draft. Normally, the NBA playoffs will start. This has been my argument the whole time. They will start around the time of the draft. Anywhere from the 20th of April to the 25th, something like that. Well, the NFL draft is like a whole weekend thing now. That starts the last week of April, usually on a Thursday, around the 26th to 28th of April, and it goes all the way through that weekend. And then there's the fallout from the draft. There's other signings and everything like that. So this year, because of the pandemic, the playoffs are essentially starting a month late. And you don't have no police shootings. Nobody's talking about that stuff. You don't have the NFL getting in the way. You have two really good markets and superstars. Not really markets, but stars. It's more about the stars now with Curry and LeBron James. So you get all that ingredients together and you got a good product. And that's what I've been saying for a while. And that's what I try to push baseball to do. This is the month of the end of May, the whole month of June, and really the month of July. I mean, only thing good about July is my birthday. It's hot outside. The 4th of July is nothing's on. I'm in and I'm burning up. That's why the Netflix special did so well. they released Stranger Things a few years ago on the 4th of July. It was the highest rated ever. Highest rated original series ever. Millions and millions and millions on top of millions of views. But the old school way of thinking is everybody is on vacation, so we can't put nothing big sporting-wise in the month of July. Well, not everybody's got money. Even if you do got money and you're on vacation, you're probably chilling at your hotel room, your cabin, your condo by the beach, whatever you're at, and you're either listening to the game or watching on TV, or now you can stream the game on the phone. So that I'll tell you, folks. And plus, there's this sense of urgency and everything, because that was a play-in game. Okay, this Steph Curry stuff has gotten crazy. I mean, I like Steph Curry. He's a nice guy. He's a good ambassador for the league. But now you've gotten, okay, first of all, they're the 8th seed, which means, Kathy, if you're watching, that's my aunt, Pickles. The 8th seed is the last seed on each conference. After the play-in games, you got 8 in the East and you got 8 in the West, okay? And they got the 8th seed, and now you're talking guys like Mark Stein. Again, he says that the final 3 MVPs have came out. The 3 finalists: Nikola Jokic, Joel Embiid, and Steph Curry. No Chris Paul in there. No Chris Paul whatsoever. Now, Embiid, this team is the number 1 seed in the East, best player on the best team, but he's missed a chunk of games himself. He's missed his share. And the Joker, he has picked up the slack for the loss of Jamal Murray. I get that. So now Mark Stein reports that, and I trust Mark Stein. Now, so you've got that. Now, Kenny Smith. This is a big name. That's the Kenny Smith. Nothing from Harden. He missed too many games. But Kenny Smith of Inside the NBA, one of the best pregame, postgame shows out there. I mean, it's one of my favorites in all sports. NBA, MLB. Don't watch that much MLB. But NFL I do, and in college football and just sports in general. It's one of my favorites, Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith. So Kenny Smith says that Steph Curry is now the best player in the whole league over LeBron James. He says now Steph Curry's better than LeBron James, best in the league. Okay. And I'll say this, he has played fantastic basketball. He's played fantastic basketball, but when that team was in the 11th seed, when they were in the 11th seed, this is what Rob Parker said, and I agreed and seconded it about Steph Curry. And I played it on my show the other day. Listen up, Pickles.
Rob Parker and Chris Broussard.
This is on April 6th when they were the 11th seed, which technically they would not have been in the play-in game. Steph Curry heard this. He heard this criticism.
Curry's here to be a transcendent player. He changed the NBA. He don't need Kevin Durant. I know Klay Thompson ain't playing. He's got all these other young stars around him. They got Wiseman, right? They don't need anybody else. Draymond Green is still there. Can I talk? I'm just listening.
It's a long soundbite.
It's supposed to be about Steph. Those fraudulent people out there. They were talking about Steph Curry for MVP. Do you remember that? Steph Curry for MVP? Are you kidding me? Steph Curry is not that guy. I've been saying.
He goes on this rant and he says he's not that guy. And Parker did add that Curry has never won the Finals MVP. And now Kenny Smith is saying he's the best player in the league. Now he's an MVP finalist? Are you kidding me? With an 8 seed? And you say, well, he doesn't have that good a team. But I don't know if you all caught that. Okay. Wiseman's the number 1 pick overall. I know he's young, but he's a number 1 lottery pick. Who was the other guy? He has Andrew Wiggins, number 1 pick. Draymond Green, a former All-Star. He's got a Hall of Fame coach. They're an 8 seed. He's 49th, Pickles, in defensive efficiency, and Kenny Smith has got him as the best player in the league. And now he's the top 3 finalist for the MVP. You know what, Steph Curry? He's that one guy in baseball that hits those long home runs, that's not a very good fielder, that is a designated hitter, and people like watching him. He's that one pitcher that has a lot of no-hitters, but gives up about 4 or 5 runs a game. Kind of reminds me of Nolan Ryan because he didn't have that extra lower ERA per se, if you want to say. Like I said, it's nothing personal, but it's just the guy's overrated. They lost the game last night, and people still talking about him being the MVP. LeBron hit the big shot, and I'm not even a LeBron guy. You cannot be 49th in defense and be considered the best player in the NBA. You cannot be the 8th seed and be considered You cannot be the 8th seed and considered to be an MVP finalist. Chris Paul made this team a number 2 51 team win. This team won 50. The same people that put this out here are the same people that put Monty Williams, I would imagine, in the same circles run together in the NBA. Instead of making Chris Paul an MVP finalist, who took this team, who was below 500 last year, and making Tom Thibodeau the coach of the year instead of Monty Williams. It's because they like him. He's a nice guy. Harden was hurt too long, but everybody had a little bit of injury this year. Embiid wasn't hurt nowhere near as long. They have the best record in the East. You can go that route, or you can go with Chris Paul. It should be between Chris Paul, Joker, because of the loss of Jamal Murray and for the fact that they still played really well in Denver, and then Joel Embiid. If Harden finishes, Harden gets my MVP. If Harden doesn't lay out, he stayed out a whole month. Call is a coach on the court, Now they got to go play the Lakers, and I think they're going to give the Lakers, they're the underdogs, they're going to give the Lakers everything they can handle and then some, if you ask me. But like I said, he's played his butt off since then. But you can't be considered the best player in the league in 49th in defense. I mean, you're going to take him over Kawhi Leonard, the best two-way player in the game. LeBron, a healthy Durant right now. I'm talking now. The ability to stop people and to score and to make others better. People are hyperbolic about what is with Steph Curry. He's a 3-point specialist. He can't finish like a Kyrie Irving. He can't defend like a Kawhi Leonard nor LeBron James. He shoots threes. That's it. He's a decent ball handler. And I guess there's some advanced metrics that says he does all this stuff. But I just said, listen, lottery picks, former defensive player of the year, all-star Draymond Green with him on the same court, Hall of Fame coach. You're an 8th seed, and people act like that you're playing with a bunch of scrubs. You're like one game better than Memphis with a coach nobody's never heard of. You got Valanciunas and some guy named Dylan Brooks and players you've never even heard of. I mean, you can make the same argument. He's basically on the same level as John Morant. John Morant's second year in the league. Everybody's cutting him some slack. But my point is, season-wise, you're right at the same. I mean, you're right at the same. You got to win games. To be considered an MVP, you have to take your team a long way, or you do something really special. And the year that Westbrook got it, they were like a 4 seed. He got all those triple doubles. You can't be an 8 seed. You can't be just getting in there. Can you imagine, Pickles, if an NFL team had an MVP quarterback and they're there as the last wild card team and they're like 9-8? They're 9-7. Can you imagine the NFL doing that, Pickles? Yeah, and that's what I think. He's a good-looking guy, and he's that happy-go-lucky, and I like him. He would be a good ambassador, but man, this guy's so overrated. It's just unbelievable. Man, this is crazy. So, anyways, as you can see, I'm just not big into this phenomenon with Steph Curry here. I will go back to the games coming up. We've got some good games. The game yesterday was great. It was really something. You know what? I guess I could go to it now. Now, we've got some really good games coming up, folks, this Saturday and Sunday as well. And I'm telling you, they are must-see TV games, I would say, particularly if I can find my list on here. I've got everything on here but my games. But if I have to, I will come back to it and see, and we'll talk about them later. I'll say this, that Phoenix series it'll be a 6 game. I'm picking the Lakers to beat them, but I think it'll be a one-shot, 2 to 5 point type of game between Phoenix and the Lakers. Now, this is going to tick Chris Paul off. That report came out, and I think he's going to play awesome. I think he's going to be great in Phoenix. I think they're going to have 33 to 40% crowd in Phoenix. They're going to be loud. They're going to be waiting for the Lakers. This is 2:30 Sunday. I think that's going to be one of the best games, best series in the first round to watch, along with Milwaukee and Miami. Those are 6 or 7 game series. But what's the difference between Milwaukee, Miami, and Phoenix and LA, and probably the rest of the games, other than maybe Dallas and the Clippers, because the Clippers don't blow out anybody, is those games will be 1 or 2 scores the whole game. It'll be a game of runs. I don't think there'll be any blowouts in that entire series. And quite frankly, they could very well beat that Laker team. I'm trying to see if I can find this schedule. When I'm looking for something, I can't find it. But I'll get it here in just a minute. And so, speaking of this Golden State team, now they had the play-in game. They lost that in LA. So now they had to fly back to Golden State and play Memphis tomorrow. I think they'll beat Memphis. Then they have to fly to Utah, with the healthy Donovan Mitchell, who's been out all week, and play them. That's why I think they'll probably get beat in 5 or 6 games. Probably 6, because they are playing pretty well, that Golden State team. So that's why I think that Utah is going to be selling in this first round. Same thing with LA. I mean, LA, you know, they had to play in New Orleans on Sunday. Then yesterday they had to play in LA. And now they've got to go to Phoenix and play on the road to start that series. As a 7 seed, they're officially a 7 seed, which means they'll have to go on the road again to play a likely Denver team in the Mile High. So it's just not, and these people still picking the Lakers to go all the way. It's just, man, you know, I haven't really betted on the, oh, there it is. There we go. Okay. Saturday, we've got, like I said, Miami, Milwaukee. I mean, that'll be a great series. I think it's a 6 or 7 game. Now Miami beat them last year. Now, the difference is Milwaukee, they've got Drew Holiday this year, PJ Tucker this year, an actual home court advantage this year. This is going to be a dogfight of a series, probably a 6 or 7 gamer. I see Milwaukee getting the best. It probably ends in 6, but it could go 7. Dallas and the Clippers. Remember, that was a dogfight last year. The point spread in the first game is 5 points, just like I said. And, of course, Boston will play Brooklyn. I think that's probably going to be a sweep to 5 games. And then Portland, Denver, that's probably 5 to 6 as well. But the big game, like I said earlier, Lakers and Phoenix. Phoenix is actually now favored, Pickles. Phoenix is favored. They were not favored earlier. They are now favored. So something must be up with LeBron. Because I know that they were not favored to win the series. Now they're favored in game 1 by 3 points. My guess is the Lakers will win game 1, but they could lose game 1 because of the fatigue factor. And of course, Sunday night you'll have Utah. So that's a lot of good games there. If you're betting, if you're playing daily fantasy or anything like that, that will be very interesting. Something I will personally keep up with. I can't wait as long as we can get to the games themselves. And with Adam Silver, the commissioner, he's going to see this. He's going to be like, man, look at these ratings. And then somebody in his circle needs to say, listen, Adam, we're getting in that free real estate area. No U.S. Open, none of that stuff. No NFL stuff. None of that stuff. It's all NBA. And when they get in the month of June and July, and you start packing arenas more, things are going to happen. As long as the guys fully engage and play hard, which they will. I mean, I think they will for the most part. But I think we're going to have a lot of good series. Like I said, I believe that Brooklyn's going to win this thing, and I think they're going to go to Utah. But I don't know who's going to go in the West. I have no idea who's going to go in the West. Yeah, they got the PGA championship thing. I think that's considered a major. John Daly, I think he was leading last time I checked, which was crazy. I thought that was some kind of misprint. And of course, he's probably fell back. But those tournaments, U.S. Open, Masters, the other one that they call the British and the Players' Championship are the big ones. But really, it's U.S., Masters, and British, I think, Pickles, are the biggest ones, personally. Okay. But anyways, that is all I have to say about that. Again, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to see it. So, okay. Now, I'm trying to go to which one to cover first. Okay, the Texans signed Jeff Driscoll. So now they've got 5 quarterbacks on their roster. Nobody's talking about it. Texans have signed Jeff Driscoll. They've got 5 quarterbacks, and the Aaron Rodgers. Same thing. I want to say there's 4 now with Green Bay. So we're expecting long holdouts here. And I think maybe the Texans may know something that we don't about Deshaun Watson in this case. But, teams pulling for these teams, I just don't see it. Now, Aaron Rodgers, there was a rumor that came out, but it didn't get verified. But I will say this. The person made some sense that started it. He said it come from NFL Network, but in Rappaport, Adam Schefter, none of those people reported on it. But they said, the person said that a source says that Aaron Rodgers, this guy named Barry McCockner, and I don't know if he's even the real deal or not. Even if he's not, he does make a good point, and because this reminds me of the Tom Brady situation. But he's saying that Aaron Rodgers said he'll come back if they trade Jordan Love. He said, now, even if that specific rumor is not true, this is about that. And he's watching everything Brady's done. Hold on, everybody. I'm going to see. I might have to look like I'm going to have to change out real quick. Hold on. Change out my 26 minutes in. I'm gonna wait a few more minutes. But so anyways, he's saying that if the same thing with Garoppolo. So I was thinking to myself, well, if that's the case, if you're probably, the fact is Jordan Love is the third string. They got like 4 quarterbacks too. So they're going to have to probably make a tough decision on him and say, this guy's probably not going to make it. If he can't make second string by now, there's probably an issue with Jordan Love because they sound like they're pretty desperate. We need him bad and all that in the worst way, yada, yada, yada. And so my thing is, okay, well, there is another solution there. And the team can still be competitive. Sign him back, give him a new deal, and trade Love 5th-round pick. Let's chop him up as a loss. Their biggest need is defense. You've got Melvin Ingram out there. You've got Sheldon Richard unsigned. You've got Richard Sherman can play opposite of their big cornerback. That King guy was terrible. He'll play in for King last year. And make a trade for Julio. Now, that sounds impossible. Well, you would redo his deal and you would adjust his salary cap to make it more team-friendly this year. And so you do that. Hold on. Let me change out this thing here. But my thing is, folks, that you can do that. Mickey Loomis, Jar Alexander, thank you. Yeah, Jar Alexander. Put Richard opposite of Jar Alexander. But the New Orleans Saints, they've done it every year. Them last 4 or 5 years now, they're busted on the cap. Now, Mickey Loomis, he done it. But the problem may very well be this general manager. But that could be done. But that wouldn't be my idea if I'm thinking long term for the if I'm simply thinking long term for the organization, I just would not do that. There's no bleeping way that I would do that. People are throwing up these hypotheticals with Denver, giving up players. I would try to ask for the 6 draft picks. Someone said throw in Jerry Jeudy and Bradley Chubb, maybe 3 first-round picks and not the second rounds. But we'll see. June 1st is coming on us fast. We're going to find out something big after June 1st. I think something's going to go down. A lot of those quarterbacks are signed. I think it's going to be talked about in the Packer organization, and something I think is going to blow on the Deshaun Watson situation. They've got too many quarterbacks here. Something could go. So those are two things to watch. Those are latest updates right there. Okay. Okay, this is from The Athletic. This is another thing. Speaking of Julio, The Athletic is reporting that they are still seeking to trade the Atlanta Falcons' Julio Jones. And Pro Football Focus said a hypothetical would be for Kansas City to replace Sammy Watkins. Give me a break. But trade to Atlanta, this Pro Football Focus, the 2022 second round pick, 22 next year's second round, next year's third round, and the sixth round pick for Julio, and Kansas City get the sixth round pick. Now, here's my deal with Julio. I mean, Julio was a great player. I love fantasy. I get all that. There was another. You mean the LA Chargers? There was another report a few weeks ago, actually a few days ago. I didn't even get to this, guys. That Julio, the Patriots were rumored to be interested heavily in Julio to get a true number one receiver. Now, okay, here's my thing about Julio Jones. He is a $23 million cap hit. He's 32 years old. He played 9 games last year, Pickles. And of those 9 games, you add in another 3 where he was a game-time decision. Hurt hamstring the whole year. He played 13 the year before that. They still scored 40, 50 points a year. They went to the Super Bowl when he was hurt that year. He's in the middle of a 3-year contract that got the former general manager and head coach fired. That was a awful, awful contract. So, do you really want to take on a guy, the $23 million for a 32-year-old player who's only played 9 games last season, nagging hamstring injury, who makes more than most quarterbacks on rookie contracts, some veterans like Tom Brady? He makes more money than Tom Brady. His cap hit was more than Tom Brady's last year and this year. They won 4 games last. They were I don't know if they won 4. Excuse me. I think they actually did win 4. But they picked number 4 overall last year. This is, the guy's a great player and all that, but you can get wide receivers in the draft, guys. You can get them in the second round. Jordan Jefferson. Look at the great players this year, last year. It's the most overrated other than getting a running back. I just do not understand that. And plus, quite frankly, they've got Calvin Ridley. They've got Kyle Pitts. They got other tight end, Hayden Hurst. They've got Mike Davis. And Russell Gage was coming into his own as a number 2 because Julio missed he only played 9 games. So he missed 7 games last year. Now we have 17 games. We had 16 games last year. Now we have 17 games, folks. 18 weeks. So they should have traded him before the draft. If somebody offers me a second round, if you offer me a third round pick and you take part of that salary, or a fifth round, you take part of that salary, Pickles, and say we pay 10 and you pay the 13 of the $23 million that he's making. Give me a fifth round pick and I'll clean up some cap space and go out and give me a defensive player. Because that's what you need. With those players I just named, an aggressive former offensive coordinator for Tennessee Titans, Arthur Smith, and Dean Pease at defense, this team can make a playoff run next year. They can very well make a playoff run. I would have traded him 3 years ago and got 2 first-round picks, a first and a second and a future. You know, people look at this like fantasy, and I play a lot of hours in fantasy football, but it does not equate to wins. It's built on protect your quarterback, have a competent quarterback. You don't have to have the best. A competent quarterback, protect him, and get to the other person's quarterback, and then you work your way out from there through free agency. After you get those positions taken care of, then you go out and get a Julio Jones. Then you may get a linebacker or something of a higher dollar, or running back. You get running back. Then you get Julio Jones type of players. But once you get that taken care of, then you do the other. Like I told you guys the other day, the highest paid wide receivers in the league do not win championships. Look at Calvin Johnson. People go on and on about Megatron. 1 playoff game. It's mostly about the quarterback. I'd say it's 80-20. It used to be 95-5, but wide receivers with the new rules, I get it. They are more important than they were 20 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, but they're not what people are still thinking that they are, you know? So I thought that was interesting. Let's see. Tim Tebow officially signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars as a tight end. And the hate for this guy, I mean, it's still going on. It's still going on. I mean, Kathy, you're at Jacksonville. Is it going to help sell tickets? Yeah. But what Urban Meyer's trying to do is set a culture. The guy's very driven. He's a good locker room guy. They're not paying him a lot of money, guys. The Jacksonville Jaguars got plenty of money. They could take on a Julio contract and not even lose sweat. There's plenty of money under the cap. They're bringing him in for that. Leadership. He might make it as a tight end, but he'll be used like a Chris Cooley. Chris Cooley said that, like a halfback, a H-back. He'll play off the line of scrimmage. Cooley said former tight end for the H-back, which is somebody that plays off the ball, really don't, air quote, play on the line of scrimmage for something like that. He says he'll probably, Meyer, the head coach, will probably use him like that. Again, the guy will know NFL defenses because he played quarterback. So he's going to have an advantage there. Let's just say his age and everything. If he's not quick enough to get off the line of scrimmage and not be a physical helper as much as a leadership guy, Urban will cut him. No autopsy, no foul. Flanker screen. You can use him for halfback passes, trick plays, stuff like that. Maybe play him some as the up back on special teams. I think we talked about that before the other day. But the hate is just there's something underneath that they have an issue with the guy's religion and there's you got your Colin Kaepernick people. And I'm sick and tired of people trying to tell Urban Meyer who to hire for strength and conditioning coach. I thought that was crap. You know, the guy gets fired for some kind of comments. But that's a different story. But the stuff with like telling him who he can bring in. He's the head coach. You know, he can bring in whoever he wants to. I mean, he's not the general manager, but head coaches can, you know, they can go out and sign guys for peanuts. And he could be an Antonio Gates type of guy. So we'll see how it plays out. Trying to see if there's anything else going on. Oh, nobody else is talking about this. Pats, I read this from, I think it was Mike Reese with ESPN guy covers the New England Patriots. Excuse me, let me get a sip of water here. He said that this Mac Jones is killing it in rookie camp. Now, that was from the coaching staff. Why does that mean a big deal? It's May. It's rookie camp. None of this. No pads this. You know what that means? That he's picking up on the playbook really quick. And he's got probably decent footwork right off the bat. And for another thing, the Patriots are the last team in the world that's going to go around and try to set up some kind of PR stunt to take up for a quarterback. It just makes more sense that Cam would be the guy. He's a veteran. This will be 2 years into the system. Mac Jones has only played 17 starts. Now, he did have the highest completion percentage in college football last year. So there's no incentive, and it was a 15th overall pick. So there's no incentive for the Patriots to have to oversell Mac Jones, the quarterback from Alabama. He's picked 15th overall. So that is something for you guys to watch going ahead. I think that's something that nobody's talking about. That's red. I'm like, I wonder why anybody's talking about that. You know? So this guy, now I'll say this. I would heavily, but just for what I just said about the lack of starts and everything for Mac Jones, I would lean heavily on Cam Newton with those two tight ends. I think that would work perfect for him. But if it's really close, and Jones is getting better as the preseasons go along, I would roll the dice. But if I'm Bill Belichick, in the back of my mind, you got to think like a super competitor, like a type A personality. Bill Belichick is going to say, well, I really want to beat Tom. And I don't want to come in here against that Todd Bowles defense with a rookie quarterback. He's got to be killing it to start this year. I want Cam with that second year there in this system with these tight ends, with these new wide receivers, your Nelson Aguilars of the world. And we want to play some defense and field position because we want to beat Tom Brady. I want to beat Tom Brady. That's what I'm thinking the way Belichick is, Pickles, you know? So it's by the way, we are 17 weeks from today. Speaking of the Tampa Bay Bucks, 17 weeks from today, Dallas and Tampa will be playing. I'm looking forward to it. Okay? All right. Okay. Kwame Brown has been, I wasn't going to, I wasn't going to talk about this story, but Kwame Brown, former number 1 overall pick, 2001, Washington Wizards. I want to say this was when Jordan was like a player/general manager. I knew that was a disaster from the start. Even knowing at 20-something years old, I kind of had a feeling that was going to be a bad deal. But anyways, so there is a podcast now by Showtime called The Smoke Podcast with Gilbert Arenas, but it's hosted by Matt Barnes, former NBA player. I think he played for the Lakers and the Clippers. And Steven Jackson, former Spur, former Piston, who was in the melee. There was a really bad melee in Detroit. Malice in the Palace, Pickles. And these guys had just started this thing off a few weeks ago, and they're taking these hot casual shots at Kwame Brown about his confidence were robbed early on because he was drafted out of high school, and that wasn't a big thing back then. It was only been done so many times. I think Kevin Garnett and some other people, Kobe, but 6'11" Kwame Brown. Saying he had small hands for his 6'11" height, robbed his confidence, using the word bust. And Kwame Brown Listen to that for a little while. And this guy goes on YouTube and social media, Instagram Live, like what I'm doing. And he rips these guys a new one. He is like Pickles. He's that one friend that everybody knows that you can't take a shot at and talk trash to, or using some of my slang term, burn on. I'm from the 90s. There was a really good movie in the 90s called White Man Can't Jump. Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes. The your mama's this and your mama's that, just kind of batting back and forth. Kwame Brown's the guy that you think that you can get one past him and make everybody laugh, and he not really say nothing back. He's the guy that you say something back to you and hit you 3 times harder than you hit him, and then you have everybody laughing at you. He's and to use a tennis term, he's the Roger Federer of comebacks. He's the guy that can return the ace of a Pete Sampras. You know, I don't know, Pickles, if you've been watching this, but this guy, and then on top of all that, everybody else has to weigh in an opinion. Other celebrities, Stephen A. Smith weighed in, and of course, Kwame Brown cut him down. This clown that claims to be oppressed, this guy, Charlemagne the God, one of the hottest radio shows in the country, The Breakfast Plug out of New York City, syndicated, going around talking about how oppressed he is in air quotes, and but he's a millionaire. He's a guy I don't care for either. He starts getting in Kwame Brown's personal life, acting like he's feeling sorry for him, but really giving him some insulting him. The kids would call it throwing shade. And he cut that guy down. He got in some of that guy's past. And, I'm watching people like Jason Whitlock comment from the outside, who I've been following for a long time, said this guy's like Muhammad Ali or something. He said this guy is hilarious. And some of the national guys now, like Clay Travis, they're trying to bring Kwame on. If you could stand the language, there's a lot of language, and you want a good laugh, Kwame Brown is a combination of Tupac Shakur, one of the greatest rappers, the greatest rapper, in my opinion, of all time, and Bernie Mac, one of the funniest stand-up comedians of all time. So this whole thing where people, and there was a Guardian wrote a story about him saying that Kwame was tired of people taking shots at him for being a bust. The guy played 11 years. He makes $60 million. He was averaged close to a double-double. He wasn't considered a bust. I make some notes. Anthony Bennett, the number 1 overall pick in 2013 for the Cleveland Cavaliers, who played 1 year with Cleveland, 4 years total. He's considered a bust. Kwame Brown was an underachieving player that came into an impossible situation, and he explains it. Michael didn't want me. Michael tried to work out a trade to get Elton Brand in 2001. From Chicago, Michael was my age now, which is 38. Kwame Brown's my age now. He's 39. I'll be 40 later. But Jordan wanted a veteran player to, Richard Pryor. I mean, this guy's from Georgia. He's 6'11", and he is an old soul, Pickles, Kwame Brown. And if you say something to him, he's got 3 more back for you. I had no idea he had this kind of personality. Now, what some are saying is a sad situation, and it's between jokes and very serious. It's very much on the line. I see it as a huge blessing in disguise, because if Showtime would give those clowns, especially Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes, a show, they should give Kwame Brown a show. Kwame Brown I said on his YouTube page that he should do a Netflix special, and I asked him to come on Sportscope if he can clean it up. if he can clean it up. He's very country. He's born in South Carolina. He's living in outside of Atlanta, and he's got an answer for everything. This guy's a farmer. He does a lot of stuff. And yes, Pickles, I guess you've seen it. He's made me laugh all week long. I almost spit water through my nose laughing with Kwame Brown because he's got dirt on everybody. I mean, this guy is you know, this happens. This has been going on since last weekend, and they're going back and forth with Matt Barnes. Pickles, he talks about, this is well documented. NBA player Matt Barnes was secretly seeing the ex-wife of Matt Barnes, Fisher, Derek Fisher, former Laker, Kobe suck up. He's always kind of seemed kind of a little weasel type of guy. He was seeing Matt Barnes' wife behind his back. Long story short, they were having some kind of barbecue, and one of Matt Barnes' kids called Matt, the dad, on the phone and said, well, we're having a party, blah, blah, blah. Derek Fisher's over here. So this guy drives a few hours with like Tupac blasting, jumps his own fence, Matt Barnes. And it's a straight melee, a fight between him and Derek Fisher. Now, Derek Fisher's took the guy's wife and married her, or maybe it was his ex-wife, but it really ticked Barnes off. So Kwame Brown reminds him of that. And it is something that you cannot make up. This is, like I said, this stuff is this is not me just speculating. This is all well documented. Barnes said, well, he's even got a nickname for Barnes. Something, Betty with the long hair. He's calling Matt Barnes like Becky with the brown hair. He's calling Bruno Mars. I mean, this guy's hilarious. And people are feeling sorry for him. They're like, this guy's talented. I don't know how long I don't know how far he's going to go with it. But he's got like 30,000 new followers in 3 days. And like I said, Jason Whitlock said, this guy's been trending for 5 straight days. This got to be some kind of record. He's on this tangent. It's almost equivalent, except it's more funny than the Charlie Sheen rant that he went on several years ago, where people thought he was losing his mind. But the reviews is, every time somebody criticizes him, he hits you 3 times back. So you don't want to take a shot at Kwame Brown. He's got too good of return serve. He's got one of those take that with you, Muhammad Ali jabs. But it's funny. Like I said, I just had to bring it up. I'm actually happy for the guy because people are seeing the kind of talent that he's got. Normally, basketball players, Pickles, don't have a good personality. Not everybody's got Magic Johnson's personality. There's only one Magic Johnson. There's only one Isaiah Thomas. Think about, I like Larry Bird, but he don't have a personality like those guys. There's only one Luke Walton or Bill Walton, but for those 3 guys, there's only one Barkley. But anyways, I thought that was a funny thing. Speaking of Barkley, I don't know if I told you guys this. When Barkley graduated high school, he did not walk with his class, Barkley. And he failed. Barkley did Spanish class. Talk about keeping a chip on his shoulder. And he didn't get to walk with his class for graduation. Barkley didn't. And that made him mad as all get out. He says, I'm going to make these guys pay for this. I'm going to be the most successful person who's ever went to this school. And he said that chip on his shoulder was so bad that that's what caused him to get in some of those fights where he spit on a player when he was with the Philadelphia 76ers, Pickles, where he threw that guy off the balcony. If you guys remember that. And he finally found peace within, and he changed his attitude. But he became famous. So Barkley, this past week, gave $1,000 donation to every employee of his former high school. So he forgave them $1,000 check to 226 employees because of the COVID stuff. And then on top of that, he gave $3 million in scholarships, and he didn't even put this stuff up. He didn't even publicize this. Someone else publicized this from Charles Barkley. But I thought that was a cool thing of Barkley. I like Barkley. I know a lot of people don't like Barkley. He's too honest. But Barkley said something really interesting one time. And I went on a rant on Tuesday, a little bit of anger myself with players like Kyrie Irving not taking his job seriously enough, and some of the stuff that LeBron said out of school and out of pocket without knowing all the situation with these police. But Barkley said this 25, 30 years ago, Pickles. Barkley says that we are not role models. It's a great Nike commercial, about 30 years old now. I'm not a role model. Your parents should be role models. I'm not a role model. But that was Barkley at 25. Barkley now, and to a certain extent, he can be a role model. Yeah, he threw a guy out through a plate glass window. They said, "Do you have any regrets that we?" And then he said that we were not on a higher floor. Remember, Barkley threw a ball at Shaq and hit him in the head and knocked the ball out of bounds. That's bold. Now, Shaq, that was a big melee and they forgave him, but that's on YouTube. He took the ball and bounced it off Shaq's head. So when he done that, I realized that Barkley is not scared of anybody. He might get his butt kicked, but he is not afraid of anybody. But that is two shows, Pickles, that I just wanted to end the program, or two funny storylines. Kwame Brown is Richard Pryor for a week, okay? Kwame Brown is Dave Chappelle, Tupac Shakur, Bernie Mac, all in one for a week. And I hope he continues his success. And Barkley is always funny. Barkley's always got something to say. So anyways, if you like the show, share the show. I'll be back on Tuesday around 9 p.m. Central Time for Sports Scope. I will be on the Mac and Jack Show. You can look in the Northeast Streaming Sports YouTube app around 7:30 a.m. Central Time. We go over this week in sports. And I hope Mac asked me about the Kwame Brown situation. I'll gladly give my opinion of the guy. I think it's a really good story there. And if you want to contribute to the program, you can go through the ZELLE app. And this is sportsscope at gmail.com. The word sports, the word SKOPE at gmail.com. That is my email. If you want to contribute through the Zelle app, I would greatly appreciate it. I don't have any advertisers right now. We're working on all that stuff and trying to get everything going. Thank you very much. Kathy, you're a great contributor, and I appreciate it. And good luck with your Jacksonville Jaguars. I think you're out of the Jacksonville area there. So anyways, everybody, I will see you Tuesday, otherwise, at around 9 p.m. Thank you, Aveco18 from Instagram. I think you're the first person that's interacted with me on Instagram. I just started Instagram a few weeks ago officially. So have a good one, everybody. I will see you next time here on Sports Scope.